Hello viewers, it's me back after a considerable absence. You might just notice that my hair has grown quite a bit. So this video is about the Trump presidency. Donald Trump was elected almost 3 weeks ago. The Electoral College is going to meet very soon. A lot of people don't know that the Electoral College physically meets. They're various activists from various states who meet in Washington DC, and they carry out an act of voting in the Capitol, as in that's that domed building which is the centre of the US government. So it's a day out for the activists really, and states have laws saying that these electors of the Electoral College must vote the way they're mandated by the state, or they can go to prison, because in the very early days some people didn't vote the way they're ordered. Anyway, Trump, he's winning the Electoral College, but he didn't win the popular vote. Hillary Clinton won by over 2 million votes, about 1.5% of the vote. So the opinion polls were not that far out. Polar polls had her winning by 3%. In fact, she won by 1.5%. So that's within the margin of error. And the timid Trumpster factor was there, but it wasn't huge. So Trump will take over on the 20th of January, as the Constitution says that's the day for transition. It's very hard to tell what to expect because he's full of contradictions. He makes policy on the hoof. You know, he's up at 3 o'clock in the morning tweeting things. He seems to rubbish a lot of Republican shibboleths and then endorse them. So Republicans who didn't back him, he said, like Paul Ryan was a loser, part of the failed political establishment. He's just been all over the place. He was pro-choice not so long ago. He's pro-life now. He said that liberating Iraq and Afghanistan had been a huge mistake. Actually, at the time, he said it was the right thing to do. He wants non-intervention. He wants to bomb the shit out of ISIS at the same time. He wants to improve relations with Russia, though he might change his tune on that one. So he's totally unpredictable. He's all over the time, all over the shop, and he's always changing his mind from day to day. Everyone changes their mind occasionally, but with Trump it's just constant. Within 6 days of the election, he performed a volte-face on 9 policy areas. So he doesn't have policies, more or less. He doesn't believe or disbelieve in anything. He only believes in himself. I suspect that he's not racist. I think he simply said that because he calculated that stood in the best chance of winning the presidency. He's not anti-racist either, so he will say anything. Like he thought that Obamacare was atrocious, wanted to get rid of it. Now he says that he will reform it. He was going to tear up this trade deal with Cuba, or at least lifting the embargo, but no, is he going to reimpose it? We just can't tell. The Iran deal, he's going to cancel that on day one. That's really up to Congress. But will he cancel it at the end? It's just a fool's errand to guess what he's going to do. As he has no policies, he's only got personality. And what a personality disorder he's got. He's sociopathic, he's narcissistic, he believes he's superior, he demands preferential treatment. The rules don't apply to him, but other people should have to obey them very strictly, be severely punished for the most minor infraction. He can lie utterly shamelessly, then deny he lied. No matter how utterly convincing the proof that he lied, he'll just shrug that off, it doesn't matter. He can be foully insulting to people, but if anyone says boo to him, he throws a wobbly. So he's extremely infantile, believing the world revolves around him. He is super sensitive. He cannot take constructive criticism, however well-founded. He craves praise. So if you adulate him, you can get what you want out of him. Putin was canny enough to speak flatteringly of Donald Trump, and then Donald Trump returned the compliment. So he can be very easily manipulated. I think the Israelis will do that with him very well. So he's very emotional. He always sees things that way. He emotionalizes things. He's not into reason, into detachment, into cool-headed judgment. He disregards expert advice. Facts don't matter. You can just make the things up. If they suit you, well, then they're true. And if they're false, well, they can be true if he wants them to be true. So it's just staggering to have to deal with someone who's just got no objectivity, who doesn't care about the truth, doesn't value it, is not remotely embarrassed to be caught telling the most flagrant lies constantly, and apparently doesn't bother a lot of the electorate. It really took the biscuit that he called Hillary a liar. Now, she is crooked, but he's an awful lot worse. So there'll be a lot of flying off the handle. It's terrifying that he's going to have his finger on the nuclear button. If somebody slights him, what's he going to do? He might well see it as a way of going down in history to drop a nuclear bomb. So it'll be a terrifying 4 years. Mercifully, his power is somewhat limited because of the separation of powers under the Constitution. He doesn't seem to grasp the fundamental principles of the US Constitution. He seems to think that the president has dictatorial power. He's a megalomaniac as it is, and now making him president is going to send his megalomania into an absolutely spectacularly high orbit. The man really is unhinged and deluded. He would try and be president of the universe if he could. But he can't necessarily get the legislation he wants or repeal things he wants. He can't necessarily get the spending he wants. It's part of the reason why the border war is unlikely to happen, because it's just so costly. A good drum to bang come election time, but probably an impractical policy. Tearing up NAFTA, tearing up this Trans-Pacific trade deal, that might not happen for him, but he'll shrug it off, doesn't really matter, because he changes his mind continuously. So expect a lot of emotional outbursts, a lot of foolish decisions, and that he will be persuaded by those who suck up to him. So this is the tragedy of Trump. We're in for a very bumpy ride and a terrifying 4 years.